Okay, so hello guys. I'm back with part two of the review. It has been about 2 days since the last review because, um, well, basically I had some real life things to handle. They have added a few more cards to, um, like, in the review, the website. But since I've already covered most Shadowcraft, Bloodcraft, Havencraft, and Neutral, I'll skip them first and then I'll work on um, the rest. And maybe I'll get back to the cards I missed some other time. So, well, continuing on, we'll start with Dragoncraft. We have firstly the legendary Imperial Dragoon. It's a 9 cost 5/5, which fanfare is discard your hand and deal X damage to all enemies, X being the number of cards discarded. And I am so happy that this card is getting released. Reason is because basically I feel discard Dragoncraft doesn't have enough support yet. Like I do play discard Dragoncraft and I do love to play discard Dragoncraft because the aspect of okay, these cards you don't need, throw them, you draw more, and you quickly search for what you need. And with the card that does 1 damage every time you discard a card, the game can go really quickly or really slowly, and you can really it's a very fun deck to play, in my opinion. But I felt it hasn't gotten enough support at that time, so I'm really happy of this card. It will probably be put in more of a slightly more late game um, discard Dragoncraft, but personally, even if it was a mid-range deck, I would still play this card because it's very good. You have a handful of what, 6 cards, you play this card, you deal 6 damage to all enemies. It says all enemies, so it does include the leader's face. And then after that, if you have the amulet for drawing cards set down, you discard those cards, you draw and cycle. So overall, a very good card. Next, you have a 2 cost spell. Apologies. Breath of the Salamander. Deal 3 damage to an enemy follower. Enhance 6, then deal 2 damage to all enemy followers. It's a good card. Um, sorry, apologies, I was interrupted. So yes, as I was saying, this card is very good. So it adds on to Dragoncraft's removal. It's a 2 cost spell removal dealing 3 damage, which is fair. And it does have the Enhance 6 skill, which allows it to deal 2 additional damage to all enemy followers. Which means basically, since it says the word then, it means these 2 effects both activate. So you deal 3 damage to something, then you deal 2 damage to everything else, including the something. So um, it's overall a very good card. If you have in the early game, it works. In the late game, it still works. Yeah, it's just removal. So very good. Mid-range or quick Dragoncraft, I can see it playing this card. Ugh. So next we have Gria the Dragonborn. It's a it's an 8 cost 3/3. So it's fanfare, summon an N, Bell of Mysteria, and evolve it. So this is it's kind of a I can't really review it until I know what N Bell of Mysteria is first, but it's quite interesting because this is the first card I've seen which does a summon something and evolve it fanfare, and after it has been evolved, it has the skill can attack twice per turn. So it's definitely a really interesting card. I am very interested to see how this card plays out, because if somehow Anne Bell of Mysteria has some effect that can synergize well with her evolve skill, it could be potentially very strong. Whoops. So yeah, I look forward to have fun with this card. So next, oh, I could just do this, right? So next we have Ifa, Wyvern Rider. So it's a 3 cost 2/1 that has the skill it can't be attacked. So like a few other Dragoncraft cards, and Enhance 7, gain +2/+2 and Storm. So it's basically 7 cost 4/3 with Storm. That can't be attacked, of course. Um, Not sure how I feel about this card. Um, the fact that it can't be attacked is okay. I wouldn't really care about the can't be attacked part because it's just a 3-drop, and really your 3 drops, once you play them, you get them over with, you move on to the bigger cards. The enhanced effect, personally, I feel it's okay. It's not too bad, I guess. It's an additional 7 mana, deal 4 damage kind of card, except in like follower form. It's it's just okay. Like, I don't really see this. Well, it's okay card. It's not bad, but I don't see any particular deck that would run this so far. So kind of have just a neutral opinion of this card. It's okay. It's not overpowered. It can be played. So yeah. So next we have Pyrozine Dragon. Pyrozine. Sounds cool. So fanfare. Randomly discard one of the lowest cost cards in your hand 2 times. Okay, and last words draw 3 cards. So it's a discard Dragoncraft support. 4, so it's 4 cost for 3/4. And basically it has the skill discard 2 of your random your lowest cards and lowest cost cards, and when it dies, draw 3 cards. It's I can see this card being played in Discard Dragoncraft, but the more combo-y version of it. The reason is because, well, first, obviously, it's a 3/4 follower, which is okay, not too bad for a 4-drop. And its skill, discard 2 of the lowest cost cards in your hand. So you discard them, you activate the drawing effects, which comes from that amulet, the Discard Dragoncraft amulet, and you do activate some of your other followers' damage dealing effects, whatnot. And usually this might cause a little bit of what do you call it? Your hand is too full if the last words activate immediately. How should I phrase this? There are times where if you use cards like Altered Fate with the discard Dragoncraft Amulet, say you have 6 cards in your hand. You discard 6, you draw 6 from Altered Fate. But the amulet allows you to draw another 6, which means you draw 12. But since you know the maximum hand size is only 9, at the end you end up wasting 3 cards, which are burned. So this effect kind of regulates it so your hand is never too full. You discard 2, which allows your amulet to activate. You draw 2, you cycle 2 cards, and after you play it, when it dies, you already have the space for the next 3 cards. So I think it's a pretty okay to good card that can be run in probably most discard Dragoncraft decks. So yeah. Next we have Owl Guardian. Why is this in Dragoncraft? So it's normally it's a 6-drop 4/6 with Ward. Okay, and Evolve. It still keeps the Ward, but it randomly discards one of the lowest cost cards in your hand and deal 5 damage to an enemy follower. Okay. Its Evolve is slightly less valued. It only gets +1/+1 for stats. And for its effect, it's kind of like a more powered up version of Dragon Warrior. Dragon Warrior evolves and deals 3 damage. This evolves and deals 5, just that you have to discard one of the lowest cost cards in your hand. Which is not bad, because if you run this in Discard Dragoncraft, you'll be looking to discard those cards. So yeah, it's a sorry, it's an okay card. Personally, I think there are a few better options like Dragoon Forte, but it certainly is a good enough card to run in quite a few discard Dragoncraft decks. So yeah, it's a good card. Draconic Fervor. Draconic Fervor. Um, it's a 5-cost spell. Gain an empty play point orb, draw 2 cards, and restore 3 defense to your lead. Okay, this is one of those cards where I really must ask, what? Why? Okay, I can understand the restore 3 defense to your leader and draw 2 cards. Um, Dragoncraft does not have a lot of healing, so the restore 3 defense, okay. Draw 2 cards. Personally, I feel there are better options with cards like Dragon Council. You discard 1 and you draw 3. Um, but okay, I can understand draw 2. Why gain an empty play point orb? This is a 5-cost spell, so by the time you're playing this, you at least have 5 play points. And on turn 5, especially if you are playing a very fast deck, you do not want to play a spell like this to gain an empty play point orb. You usually want to fight for the board, which makes this spell kind of a little not as strong as I feel as it should be. If it was like 3 cost with maybe draw 1 card and restore, I don't know, 1 defense, 2 defense, that would be playable because simply you are still at a low play point count. You want to accelerate to your high number of play points quickly. But at 5 play points already, you really do not need to accelerate any faster. Personally, that's what I feel. So I don't think this card will be played a lot, but my judgment could be completely wrong. So yeah, but in my personal opinion, I don't think this card will be played a lot. So next we have Lux's Fang Kit. If this card is discarded, summon a Lux's Fang Kit. Okay, so yeah, it's a good card that synergizes well with discard Dragoncraft because first, it's a low cost, so it's likely to be discarded with the discard effects, and if it's discarded, it summons itself, so yeah. And I believe this effect does not take any play points like the summoning play points, so yeah, it's a good card to be played with within discard Dragoncraft, so that's all I have to say. Good card. Dragon Tamer, 2-drop, 2/2. Fanfare. Give an allied follower +1/+1 if overflow is active for you. Okay, it's kind of a more flexible card, I guess. In the early game, you just play it as a 2-drop for 2/2 stats. That's okay. In the late game, you still can play it for as a smaller minion, but at least it gives a 1/1/1 buff to other cards. Whether I would play this over the other options right now, like Mushu, maybe. Mushu, I feel, is used for more of a faster deck, while this is more for a slightly more late game deck because it needs the overflow effect. Mushu is just when something evolves, which is what you tend to do if you're playing either aggro or playing against aggro. So yeah, against comparing this with Mushu, it depends on what deck you're playing, but I feel both of them are equally good. So moving on. We have Griffin Knight. It's a 3 cost 2/3. Fanfare. Randomly discard one of the lowest cards in your hand and deal 2 damage to an enemy follower. I guess it's now that I think about it, this is actually quite a good card, assuming that you have the amulet set down already. Reason is because this card can really fight for quite a bit of tempo. You're playing a 3 cost 2/3, which is not bad. For its cost, the stats are not unreasonable, and it's Fanfare. If it deals 2 damage to an enemy follower, so probably takes out your opponent's 2-drop from last turn, and fights for board. The only downside is you have to discard one of your cards, which at the early stages of the game might be a little bit dangerous if you don't have your amulet set down yet. But If you do, then basically this card is almost free. You discard one card, you deal 2 damage, you draw the card. Yeah, there's no problem. And if you do discard the, where is it? The Lux Fang Kit, even better, you summon it. So deal 2 damage, free summon. Yeah, I can see how this discard Dragoncraft will get much stronger. So personally, I don't think it's a bad card. It's just slightly dangerous if you do play in the early game, but it's okay. So last we have a 5-drop amulet, Dragonclaw Pendant. Your followers, spells, and effects deal +1 damage. So I'm assuming it means your followers have like +1 attack when they attack only, and your spells have like +1 damage. Your effects, it's probably like follower effects like Dragon Warrior. They all deal 1 more damage. This card's okay. I can see how it could be strong, but personally I will not play it in anything. One is because it's too slow, and second, like its effect is very passive. That it doesn't really do much of anything like immediately. So in Dragoncraft, in this card you really want to fight for board. You really want to pressure the enemy. For aggro or mid range, you really want to charge and get your fortes down quickly. Charge, hit face, hit face. This card is just okay, I guess. I wouldn't rate it too highly, so it's an okay card. Yeah, that's pretty much all I can say. Wouldn't really play it in any deck really. So yeah, that's it for Dragoncraft. There's a lot of support for discard Dragoncraft, which I really do like, and there are some well, reviewed anyway. There's probably some more support for other archetypes, and um, hopefully, please, discard Dragoncraft gets into the meta and I can play it in competitive. Yeah. So next we go to Runecraft. Now, it's not that I dislike Runecraft, but I do have a certain vendetta against it. Because a lot of the time, unless I play an aggro deck, I cannot beat the spell boost Dimension Shift Runecraft. It's extremely difficult. It's kind of like the Freeze Mage of Hearthstone, but yeah. So kind of wish they boost the Earth in this expansion, but we'll see what they have for us. So first we start off with a 9-drop, 5/5, Daria, Dimension Witch. Banish all cards in your hand. Oh my god. Draw 5 cards and then spell boost the cards in your hand 5 times. So subtract 0 from the cost of this card and subtract 1 more. Jesus, what is this card? Okay, let's analyze it slowly. First, you banish all the cards in your hand. Okay, so this will probably be played best when you have nothing in your hand. Then draw 5 cards. That's good. And then spell boost the cards in your hand 5 times. Okay. Then probably want to spell boost it to 0 cost with its spell boost effect. I'm not sure which deck you'll play. Maybe they're trying to create a new archetype with this card, because as far as I can tell, there are currently no decks that will play this card. For one, if you do play Spell Boost Runecraft, the Dimension Shift variant, you will probably never ever have an empty hand. You have Insight, you have Fate's Hand, you have Sorcery Cache, you have an insane amount of drawing power in Spell Boost Dimension Shift Runecraft. So no, this card is not going inside that deck. And it doesn't fit in Earthright either, because it draws 5 cards and spell boosts the 5 cards. So in Earthright, or at least pure Earthright, you don't have much spell boost cards. So maybe they're trying to start a new archetype, perhaps, but it's certainly an interesting card. It's like if you're about to die situation, you banish everything, you draw 5, you spell boost them 5 times, and hope what you draw can save you. So definitely an interesting card. Well, might get played. Maybe it'll create a new deck archetype. I don't know. So next we have Professor of Taboos. So it has a whenever an enemy follower is destroyed during your turn, summon a zombie. Okay. At the end of your turn, perform Earthright, destroy a random enemy follower. Okay. So it's a 6-drop with 3/5 stats. Quite understated if you ask me, but its effect is quite strong. Whenever an enemy follower is destroyed during your turn, summon a zombie. So I'm presuming this affects also um, like followers attacking followers and killing followers. So you can summon quite a few zombies on your turn if you do take out quite a few of your enemies. And at the end of your turn, perform Earthright. So this supports Earthright. Destroy a random enemy follower. So I'm presuming this also works in synergy with his first skill. So after destroying it, you would summon a zombie. Um, it's not bad. At the very bare minimum, it's a 6 cost 3/5 that destroys a random enemy follower Earthright at the end of your turn. So it's not bad, but personally, I feel it's a little bit slow. Um, but it's not slow to the extent where it will not get played. It is very viable in quite a few decks because he does fight for tempo, not tempo, he does fight for the board using his destroying enemy follower effect. And the summoning zombie effect, zombies are 2/2s, they it does allow you to fight for board. So this card is quite good for fighting for board. Um, I think it will do badly against aggro, but against anything else it should be quite generally okay. And of course it'll be put into an Earthright deck, preferably one more geared towards the late game, I guess. So that's that. So we have Anne Bell of Mystery. Wait. Isn't this the one that is summoned by wait, hold on. Ah yeah. Gria the Dragonborn, summon an Anne Bell of Mysteria and evolve it. And you have Anne Bell of Mysteria, summon a Gria the Dragonborn and evolve it. Okay, I'll review this card alone first. Anne, Bell of Mysteria, Fanfare, summon a Gria the Dragonborn and evolve it. Whenever this follower attacks, in her evolved state, whenever this follower attacks, deal 1 damage to all enemy followers. Okay, things just got very, very interesting. So these two cards are from 2 different classes, but they summon each other. Well done, Cygames. You made the game very interesting indeed. Okay, so let's see. If we use Gria, you play it for 8 costs. She's 8 costs, but and she's 3/3. She summons a 4/4 N. And N skill is whenever this follower attacks, deal 1 damage to all enemy followers. Okay. Generally quite strong. It's like, what's that card name? Something Glass. The special card that Broken Glass. I can't remember the name, but the one where when this follower attacks, deal 1 damage to all enemy followers. It's good. I can't really think of how this would play out in the late game because personally I feel she's quite well. Okay, I can see Dragoncraft playing this. Reason is because Dragoncraft can accelerate their play points and get to 8 quite quickly, while the opponent's still at 5, maybe 4. And you can play this card, summon her, and do some major damage to their board. I don't see Runecraft playing it. Reason is because if Runecraft plays it, she'll be played at 8 cost, 3/3, which is weak, very weak. Then she'll summon Gria, and Gria evolved is 4/4, which once again is a very weak stat. And Gria can attack twice per turn, which is cool and all, but doesn't really escape the fact that she's still a 4/4. Even if she can attack twice per turn against anything other than a very, very weak opponent, she will probably die in the first hit. And you're playing this at 8. So you and your opponent are both probably at 8 play points, which means you have been summoning like 7/7s already. So I don't see how I can see it working out for Dragoncraft, but I don't see it working out for Runecraft. So Gria might be able to be played, and not really. So yeah, that's my opinion. So next we have Secret of Erasmus. It's a 3 cost spell. Deal 5 damage to a random enemy follower. Or enhance 9, summon an Arch Summoner Erasmus instead. So if you don't know, Arch Summoner Erasmus is the legendary, I believe. Let me just Google this real quickly. Whoops, wrong button. Okay, yes, so Arch Summoner Erasmus is a 9 cost 5/6, which has the skill at the end of your turn, deal 5 damage to all to a random enemy follower. Then if you evolve him, he has the same skill, just as deal 7. So it's an okay card. Personally, I feel it's actually a very good card. For 3 costs, you deal 5 damage to a random enemy follower. It's okay. The deal 5 damage is slightly more powerful. Normally it would be around deal 4 damage, but it's offset and balanced off. It's balanced by the random enemy follower effect. It's good for sniping single followers. Like if your opponent only has a single follower, you just take it out with this spell. And it is more flexible with the enhanced summon and arch summoner Erasmus. So basically, if you have this card, you don't need to pull an arch summoner Erasmus from like a pack. You can use this card to summon him instead, which is awesome. So if you do play Arch Summoner Erasmus in your deck, you can actually take him out and play this card instead and have the ability to use either this effect during damage or the second effect summoning him instead. So it's a good card, basically. So following that, we have Dwarf Alchemist. It has the fanfare, put an Earth Essence into your hand. I believe that's the 1 cost of right of sigil that does nothing, and evolve, put a random card with Earthright from your deck into your hand. Okay, so personal opinions on this. It's fanfare, put an Earth Essence into your hand. I think that's pretty good. It's basically a balanced stat, 2 cost, 2/2. That's okay. And put an Earth Essence into your hand is just a bonus of getting a Earthright quickly. After that, its effect, evolve, put a random card with Earthright from your deck into your hand. I'm not so sure about the second effect. Unless you only have like 5 cards with Earthright effects in your deck, and all 5 cards are very good cards, which you don't mind drawing at any time of the game, then I feel his effect would be good. But in a deck with many mediocre Earthright effects, this card is only okay because first of all, his evolve is devalued. Instead of getting +2/+2, he gets +1/+1 for his evolve. Second, he's a 2-drop, which means you're evolving a 2-drop from 2/2 to 3/3. That's kind of weak, really. So I don't think it's worth evolving him unless you really have a specific Earthright in your deck that you are certain you pull out, or you really need an Earthright in your hand right now, or maybe you have too many Earth sigils on the field. But other than that, I feel his first effect is good. His second effect is probably trash because you're evolving a 2/2 into 3/3, first, that probably won't destroy any opponent followers, and you're just getting another card from your deck. That's about it. So it's like evolve a minion from 2/2 to 3/3, draw a card, something like that. But I so overall, first effect is good. Second effect, not really. Next we have Clark, Arcane Scholar. So he's a 3-drop for 2/3 stats. Okay, not too bad. Fanfare, spell boost the followers in your hand 2 times. So this is quite a new aspect. It's not spell boost, just spell boost the followers in your hand 2 times. So thinking of the cards that already exist, it would be Runecraft, Runeblade Summoner, the gain +1/+1 every time this card is spell boosted. Or what was that? The Emilo Witch card, where basically every single time she's spell boosted, her cost reduces by 1. Or even the new legendary just now, um, what's it? Daria Dimension Witch. Every time she's spell boosted, her cost goes down by 1. So um, I think its effect is okay. It only spell boosts followers, but it does it twice, so it's quite balanced. And taking 1 attack off for it, it's okay. I don't think it's too bad. But we really have to see what other cards they release in order to rate this card, because personally, now with only the cards from the previous sets, there are not a lot of followers that have the spell boost effect. So I don't think if you just take this card and throw it into a previous meta, it's trash. But with the new expansion, I think it could have quite some impact on the meta. So we'll have to wait and see for what other cards they release that synergizes well with this card. So next you have a 4-cost spell. Piercing Rune. Deal 2 damage to an enemy follower, then deal 2 damage to the enemy leader. If an allied follower evolves, change the cost of this card to 1. Okay, very interesting. So I'm presuming when this card is in your hand and an allied follower evolves, then the cost of this card is changed to 1 permanently. But it has to be in your hand for this effect to trigger. So, sorry. If it's deal 2 damage to an enemy follower, deal 2 damage to the enemy leader for 1, it is extremely strong. However, if it's deal 2 damage to an enemy follower, deal 2 damage to the enemy leader for 4, it's just an okay card. So personally, I feel this card is quite strong. Because obviously, in the game, you will definitely evolve. But the question is whether you can get this card into your hand when you evolve. Timing of your evolve and this card being in your hand has to be right. So if it happens to be that you evolve while this card is in your hand, you basically get a 3-cost subtraction. And yeah, it's insanely strong. You do 4 damage total for 1, which, yeah, I don't have to say anything. It's strong. If it doesn't get subtracted, you're just playing an okay balanced card, I guess. Deal 2 damage to an enemy follower, deal 2 damage to an enemy leader. Yeah, it's okay. So overall, I think it's a good card. It can probably be played in a more mid-range to late game deck, I guess, which is what Runecraft's about, obviously. And the cost of this card to 1. I won't advise playing more than 2, because if you play 3, you must remember you only can evolve 2 to 3 times in the game. So if you play too much, you just get stuck with 4 costs, deal 2 damage to enemy follower, deal 2 damage to enemy leader. If you play 1 or 2, you can time them well with your evolves to get the maximum value of it. So yeah. Next we have 6 cost 5/4, Disaster Witch. Kind of understated for her effect. Fanfare put a Crimson Sorcery into your hand. Crimson Sorcery is a one cost, deal 3 damage to anything. So yeah, it's an okay card. Crimson Sorcery is of course an extremely powerful spell. 1 mana, deal 3 damage. You don't say, it's strong. Which kind of balances out her stats being reduced. Generally not a bad card. We just play it in budget sort of runecraft or normal runecraft, I guess. So yeah, it's okay. So next we have Craig, Wizard of Mysteria. I keep saying this word Mysteria a lot. I wonder if it's some kind of place. Fanfare, spell boost a follower in your hand 2 times. Okay, so they are doing the spell boost a follower 2 times thing. And this, of course, has much more value than the previous card, the Scholar. This one, because this one is 3 for 2, 3 cost for 2/3 stats, so it gets 1 reduction in the attack. While the while this card, it's just a 2 cost 2/2, which means it's a normal card with no stat reductions, and spell boost a follower in your hand 2 times. Same effect. So yeah, it's an okay card. No, actually, correction. It's quite a very good card if the spell boost a follower effect generates synergizes well. So yeah, once again, you have to see for what cards they come up with. So next you have Timeless Witch. Fanfare. Your leader can't be damaged until this follower leaves the area. Ah, classic. I was thinking of another game there. Why did I say classic? So basically speaking, as long as this follower's in play, your leader can't take damage. Kind of a interesting card. If this was Swordcraft, this card would be insanely overpowered because Swordcraft can use the ambush ability. In Runecraft, I don't know what card can synergize well with this. I guess like if you want to stall for time as spell boost Runecraft with the dimension shift, you can, because your opponent has to clear this card before he can damage you. So yeah, it's an okay card. It's interesting. It's stat 4 cost for 3/4. It's not too bad. So as a standalone card, it's okay, but I don't think it's any good synergies with any other card. So next, for the last, we have Ogre. Ogre. It's a 5-drop for 3/4. Kind of bad stats. And it's a typical subtract spell boost, subtract 1 cost from this card. So I guess this is the kind of card that would synergize with your correct Wizard of Mysteria, where they spell boost followers to reduce their cost. So I'm guessing the new deck archetype is going to be where followers, where you spell boost them until they're very cheap for their effects and stats, then you just play them very quickly onto the board. So yeah, if you think about it, if you have 2 Oglers in your hand, on turn 2 you play this, it becomes a 3 cost. Then the next turn you play this, and it becomes a 1 cost. So you have 2 3/4s, each costing 1, which is extremely cheap for its stats. So yeah, generally I feel these cards are gonna be fun to play. It's a more faster variant of a Runecraft. It's gonna be a nice change. So yeah, that concludes my review part 2 of the new Bahamaut cards. So hopefully you enjoyed. Do leave a like, comment what you want me to do next. I might think of recording another game other than Shadowverse, because to have appeal to a bigger audience, I guess. But yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed, and see you next time.